Welcome to our greatest American art form.
The mixtape.
Now, for all of you kids who don't know,
Traditionally, a mixtape is a homemade compilation of media from multiple sources, recorded into a medium like a CD, a VHS, or cassette tape.
what we are presenting to you here is something we call mixtape therapy,
A collection of authentic conversations,
often wacky conversations,
inspired by what inspires us.
except instead of a cassette tape, we are bringing you a podcast
So just as you might share a mixtape, we share these conversations with you.
in the hopes that they spark a similar connection to the good old mixtape. Now,
Join us for a little
some
mixtape
mixtape therapy.
Hello.
Hello. Hey, really quickly, I want to
Yeah.
tell you something. This
What?
really hit me just now, so I want to share this with you. Okay.
Go
Okay.
for it.
One. At some point, for some reason, we have to do the Beach Boys song "Kokomo."
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
I want to know more.
Okay. We could go. There's not much more to it, but we could go over it.
Okay.
And two, I don't know if there's someone that I would do this better with, but I would never want to find out. I love doing this with you. I love having these conversations with you. And I just want you, it hit me just now. It's like, this is just, I'm also reading that book about the purpose of your life or whatever.
Yes.
So anyways, but I just want to tell you how grateful I am that this is you. And I always enjoy this, and these are always so great. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Scotty. And right back at you. Every time we start one of these, and I know it's like these days it's not like clockwork, but every time we get on a phone call like this, excuse me, a Zoom call, I'm just filled with this sense of, oh my gosh, there's nothing I'd rather be doing right now.
Well, thank you.
Well, you're welcome.
Okay,
So
so
getting
what are
on
we,
casually to the meaning of life, Scotty.
okay, so what are we going to talk about today?
Well, we're talking about Arthur Brooks, it seems, right? I mean, so you sent me the podcast that he did with Oprah, and he's written a book with Oprah. I have not read said book, but I was listening to him and Oprah talk, and I don't know too much about Arthur Brooks. I wish I were coming to this recording session with more information, but what is your, I mean, I understand that he is a businessman, someone who has been very successful in the world. Although I've also seen Arthur Brooks in other corners of the internet as well, Scotty. So who is he to you?
Okay, so in the book, The Purpose of Your Life, he goes into how he came to be. But in a short version, it sounds like that he's experienced a lot of the different corners of life. Does that make sense? Like a lot of the different, like,
Sure.
he's gone and did this, and he doing this for a while, and he came back to academia and stuff like that. And his mother was an artist, and his dad was like a mathematician or something like that. You know what I mean? Like he had just really just well, and so he teaches a class at Harvard, I think now. It's like the happiness class, like how to be
Yeah.
happy or whatever, right? And so, anyways, and so, I'm just getting into the book. I listened to the podcast, but my biggest takeaway, at least for me personally, was like he's saying everything that I'm trying to say,
Mm,
but I don't know, like I don't know if I'm using the right words, and so it feels good to hear someone confirm the thoughts that I have and put them into words that I don't know or tell me where they came from.
yeah. Well, and it's hard to talk about things that are this, well, it's simultaneously this profound, ineffable, difficult to express, something like the meaning of life and happiness. I mean, those are some huge topics to tackle. And so much of them, I do believe, comes down to a feeling, which is very difficult to put words to. And then on the other hand, I think there's this risk that we run, or I feel very self-conscious talking about topics like this because it's so hard to not sound cliche. It's so hard to not say something unique on the matter that hasn't really been said before. And so it takes a real wordsmith, it takes a real writer to be able to talk about the meaning of life and happiness with any kind of nuance. And I think probably the best way that we can do that is by talking about really tangible examples from people's life in which they shifted from a mindset that felt unhappy, right? A way of looking at the world, a way of walking through the world, even a list of daily activities that made them feel empty, depressed, not connected at all to their own lives, versus these small moments in time in which they can be the most mundane things, but we're hit with like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is what life is really about. And the only way I know how to talk about those things, because I'm not some famous musician or author or any of these types of things, although I do think that the greats or people with these amazing reputations would also agree that it comes down to these small, tangible human moments. And the one that stood out to me the most, maybe because it reminds me of some of my own clients, but it's this very unhappy young man who is lonely, he's isolated, he lives alone in his apartment and just is not feeling fulfilled at all in his life. And he goes on a date with a girl who has her garbage disposal is broken in her sink. And he's just, filled with this feeling of, I can help you out with that. That's something I can do. And so he's going and he's working with his hands and he's doing something for someone else that feels real and tangible. And I don't think the moral of the story is, and they lived happily ever after, or this was, this became something great or big or turned into this romance, but rather it's like, okay, it's in this like tiny little crack that we get a view of, okay, what is the opposite of this drudgery, this meaninglessness, this, he calls it the meaning vacuum in which we find ourselves. And it's like these little, I think it's these little moments when you realize we have something to offer someone else.
I don't know if I've ever thought of this before, but I get a lot of conversations with Uber drivers,
Hmm.
and like not ones I necessarily want to get into either, right? And so either A, they do that to everybody, like I'm not special,
Hmm.
or B, there's an opportunity for me to connect with another human being by like just letting them tell me whatever they want to tell me, you know what I
Right.
mean? And ask questions or, whatever it is. And doing that doesn't, I mean, I think for a lot of people, doing that feels like a chore.
Hmm.
Like you're like, I don't give a shit what this Uber driver is going through or whatever. But like what, like you can't give a gift greater than that. You know what I mean? Like I had this thing I was working on, this quote, maybe you could help me with it. It was like everybody, or maybe I stole it from somebody. Everybody is somebody's therapist. You know what I mean? But like, how would you want your therapist to show up? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like in some level, like when I go out into the world, that's a little bit of my expectation because people they're struggling, they're broken, they're trying to find connection, and no one's giving them the time of day. You
Right.
know what I mean? And like so, I don't know. I feel like that it's because I started the book, right? So like, and he tells that exact same story, right? And I feel like the idea that someone needs you
Hmm.
is very tribal instinctive of like in the tribe like you're needed kind of,
Yes.
right? And on some level you have to pick moments where you let people do things, like you trust people to do things for you, and you don't go, I could do everything myself. I could do it all. I don't need I don't need no man, or I don't need no woman. I could do
Yeah.
this all myself. But the connection of allowing that, like like when me and my girlfriend started dating, like I'd been pretty much like cooking for myself my whole life, even like through my marriage. I just made my own food, right? And one of her love languages has to be like cooking because she cooks all the time. That's what I'm gonna assume. And she's told me as much, right? And so I had to get used to someone like cooking and like serving me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
What was that like for you?
it sucked.
Really?
Yeah, because I have been taught that when people do things for you, now you're in debt to them,
Mm,
right? You owe them something, or you gotta make this even. Everything has to be square, or whatever. Or for now, for some reason, like I owe you something, or anything, just that feeling, right? And so I had to let go of like, no, she does this because she wants to,
yeah,
like like she just
absolutely.
like, even if I told her not to, and even when I've told her not to, she still does it.
Well, and it's a
You know what I
weird
mean?
thing, right? It's a gift to her to allow her to feel useful, which sounds patronizing when I put it that way. It's like let your girlfriend
But the,
feel
but
useful.
but we
Don't
want
need
to
that.
feel okay. I'll give you another example. It's like any task that I give my kid when I'm doing anything.
Mm.
Anytime she's here and she wants to be involved in whatever I'm doing, even when I'm like, this is a one-man job. I don't need you. I'm like, well, what task can I give her to do? Because she wants to feel like she's part of the team,
Yeah.
right? Because this is our little tribe. This is our little community in this little bubble. So, how are we going to treat each other? Because like if you live in a place where you feel like there's a threat of the you'll get kicked out if you don't comply, how are you going to respond? You know what I mean? And I'm
Yeah.
sure, I mean, this might, I don't know. Maybe I grew up that way. Maybe a lot of us grew up that way. You know what I
The
mean? Of
feeling of
like,
if you're not contributing, then
well,
what are you
just
doing?
conditional love. There's conditions under in which I love you. Like, you can't be gay. You can't, whatever the conditions,
Right.
it's extreme to like, whatever. Right. And so I just think, that's not what I'm trying to do here. You know what I mean?
Well, and it's interesting though, because he's also talking, I think he's talking about a marked generational shift as well, that
100.
that teens, early 20s, I mean, people my age too now more than ever are feeling like they don't have a place, like there isn't a whole lot of meaning. And I do sometimes wonder if they really don't feel like growing up they were given a job. They were given the sense that, hey, what you do matters, you are contributing in some way to this family. And I know it's a double-edged sword because that can be really damaging too if you get the message over and over that like you are only valued insofar as you are useful, insofar as you can labor, insofar as you can do something. But I think there's the flip side of this coin, which is I think there are, I don't want to make generalizations, but I think there are a fair amount of kids growing up who aren't given responsibilities or are like parents do just do things for them. Everything is done for them. There isn't this sense that, oh, I'm going to get my hands dirty and really figure this thing out for myself and really kind of contribute in this way. I'm just going to be in my own world. I'm going to be on my screen. I'm just going to be detached from what's going on here. That in the moment feels luxurious. It feels like everything's done for you. You don't have to do anything. You get to just kind of kick back and relax. But there's it's very real kickback to that when you feel like, mm, nothing I do matters and no one's relying on me. And I don't even have a practice or the habit of doing things, right? Of taking care of my space or of getting out into the world. Like I don't even have um these habits built into me because there was no one who was sort of relying on me. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yes, it makes sense. Okay, I'm just gonna tell you what like I feel. Like, I mean, this is
Mm.
just me, you know. Are me and my daughter friends? We are definitely friends. Am I her dad? I'm definitely her dad. Are we best friends? Well, we are close. but I don't know if we are like best friends because best friends have a different relationship than other relationships. You know, your sister
Of
can't be
course.
your best friend, but I mean, like she's also your sister. You know,
Yeah.
whatever it is, right? And I feel like that a lot of the parents that I see, they want this friendship with
Mm.
their kid that is, I don't know, like just doesn't feel parental enough for me.
Mm. Mhm.
You know what I mean? And like, like I'm all about having a good time. I'm all about like all that stuff. But like at the end of the day, like, my responsibility is to help her become uh I don't want to say independent, but balanced. What is it? Uh, Codependence? Is that the bad one?
That's the bad one. Interdependent would be
Eh,
sort of the one of like, you know how to play on a team. There's
yeah, yeah,
mutual
yeah. Like,
reliance.
okay. I just thought about this the other day, and I don't know if this is relative, but it feels prudent to say. I just had this long epiphany about how I treat her mom is the respect she'll demand from the partner that she has,
Yeah.
because that's will be the closest partnership. And how often does that scenario go good?
Mm.
Especially like divorce rate is high, and then think about all the people that ain't getting divorced that their relationship is shit,
Yeah.
right? And that makes me feel good about not only myself but like putting her out into the world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that requires a lot of me one on in person, one-on-one interacting with her, having relationships with her,
Mhm.
so that she wants to stay in this world, like she wants to be present in because like we don't do devices and things, and she's not old enough, but like you know what I mean. And
You don't do devices? That's amazing. Are you sure?
yeah, yeah, well, I mean, like if we're like in a grenade situation where it's just
Yeah.
like shit's blowing up, I'm just like, here,
Yeah.
watch this real quick. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But like that's like, I mean, we only go to restaurants that have playgrounds. Like that's the only kind of restaurant. I don't care what the restaurant is, but it has to have. I could tell you about every playground at every restaurant in Austin.
Good. I look forward to hearing about
Be,
them.
because this, I can tell you how it's going to go every single time. So either she'll be hungry. I don't know if this is interesting. She'll be either hungry or not
Relevant.
hungry, right? Obviously. And so she'll go, can I go play? I'm like, yeah, go play. Waiter will come up. I'm like, we're going to wait a little bit, whatever. I'll go walk out, go, hey, I need to get your order. She'll come in and she'll order. Sometimes she'll stay. Sometimes she'll go play. At some point, I go back and get her again and go, hey, it's time to eat. She'll eat some. She'll go, can I go play some more? I'm like, go. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna, at this point at 5, I'm not gonna try to strap her down to this chair and make her understand that you're supposed to sit down and have a meal. She's 5 years old.
Also, how great is it that she's playing outside? I'm like,
Oh yeah, and she makes.
anything to foster that. It's like absolutely interacting with kids, playing outside.
I saw her the other day
Huge
get
plus.
get totally dissed by a kid, and it didn't even like phase her. She walked up to these kids and she was like, "Hey, can I be y'all's friend?" And they just looked at her, and then they just laughed at each other, and she just stood there, and then she just walked off, and she went up to somebody else. She was like, hey, can you want to be friends? And I was like, dang.
That's what we call
but
resilience.
but everywhere we go, she makes friends everywhere. She does not make friends. She makes friends everywhere we go. But like, that is because we talk to her a lot. She's not on a device like by herself a lot. If we're watching cartoons, we're watching them together. We're
Right.
talking about what we're watching, whatever we watch. We watch stuff as a family, you know. We just spend a lot of time. Sometimes I come home and they just have music on, and they're like upstairs, like pretending something. You know what I mean? I mean, Aaron's really interactive with her in that way, like, wants to, uh, encourage her imagination.
Yeah.
But that's what parenting is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
That's what.
and this is where I almost want to ask, I imagine there are times at which that feels maybe boring to you. Like that is not the ideal That at any given moment, sitting with your kid, paying that much attention to your kid, right? I can only imagine like there are things that you would sometimes rather be doing than that.
Okay, I'm not saying this happens every time, but I could confidently say almost every time when I have that feeling, I literally like I go, and I'm like, oh, when she's 18 years old, you can be bored then, dude, you know. And then I rewind it back, and I just try to be as present as I possibly can. You know what I mean? And that requires a lot of time, like me leaving my phone in the room, taking my watch off, like going on a walk outside, leaving the house, like you know, to help me like be engaged. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You know, I do miss the days that we would play together in the playscapes. Like we would do, I would go in the playscapes with her and stuff like that. But at this point, she wants friends like her age. Like if she's bored, sometimes she'll ask me, but it's just like, you know, that's just because she's bored. You know what I mean? So I just let her be bored. You know what I mean? Like I was like, you'll figure it out, or we can go home. You know, or we can go do something else. You know what I mean? You know, but you know, I try to. I don't know. I try to just be with her as much as possible because I know this time is it's going so fast. Like it's going like so it and I have an appreciation for it because I'm older, I think, you know.
Well, and Scotty, going back to this point, right, which I know I rely on you heavily for this because you are a father and I'm not a parent. And I speak to so many people who are also um, single or yes, single, but because they don't have kids, this idea of how do I find meaning in my life feels a little bit crunchier because kids to me seem like such an obvious source of meaning. Not happiness necessarily, because on the day-to-day taking care of a kid, it's my understanding that comes with a lot of stress, a lot of frustration, a lot of, yeah, I'm not doing what I want to be doing right now, or my needs have to go on the back burner. So it's not necessarily like, okay, this is the most dopamine heavy, joyous activity I could be doing, but certainly as I'm reflecting on my life, if I'm a parent, I can very clearly point to, okay, and this is a tremendous source of meaning for me. I am curious if even as a parent and as a person whose profession is to help others, right? You're a coach and a trainer. If you yourself experience what they're referring to or what Arthur Brooks is referring to as a meaning vacuum, do you experience that? And if so, how does it show up for you?
Okay. And meaning vacuum meaning to make sure that I know.
Yeah. Like,
What was the definition of meaning
yeah,
vacuum?
like the feeling that like maybe life doesn't have meaning. My life
Oh,
doesn't have meaning. My life doesn't have significance.
okay. So let me say being responsible for another human being does give your life meaning.
Yes.
I
Yes.
mean, it means something. You know what I
Means
mean?
a
Like
whole lot.
yeah, but I mean, like you know, and that you know goes like all kinds of directions, right? But I really think, I really think doing doing my personal like podcast and the way that it shaped the way I approach my clients after like conversations and the way I talk to people now and the way I'm a list a good like I feel like I'm a better listener and like all that stuff and then you know this like doing this
Hmm.
right now it sounds real magnanimous to go that these are the things that give my life meaning there's more you know but these are things that I'm actively cultivating to give my life meaning.
Hmm.
And if we could do this in person, I would do it in person every single time, right? You know what I mean? And I, this is a side note. And it's because I've kind of reading this book and it made me think of this. So I have clients that only train online, right?
Hmm.
But every once in a while, they'll be in Austin and they'll like, hey, can I come in person? Wow. What do you think? What did you just with nothing me telling you nothing more? What do you think the difference is between the online ones and we're in person? What do you think the difference is?
I would imagine massive.
Massive, massive,
Yeah.
right? Because they can feel me, my presence, and how much I care,
Yeah.
and that matters, right? And so the reason like online whatever Zoom is never going to be as great as in person is because of the presence of a human being and the interaction and what can happen and the spontaneity and what if somebody brings up politics, what are you going to do, like just everything about that makes you curious and interested and think about what you want to do with your life. It's like, I'm a real big proponent of people just walking outside. And it's because I could feel like we could agree more or less the landscape changes every day. It might change in small, minute ways, but it's changing every day. And when you experience that every day, you are present every day. And that's why walking, especially walking outside, and kind of no matter what the weather, like unless you live somewhere it's like a Arctic, like,
Yeah.
whatever,
I do.
or like in a desert or in the desert, but like safe temperatures to
Mhm.
just feel what it feels like to walk in the rain. It's
Yeah.
kind of cool.
Absolutely. To do anything that is sort of that is different, that is connected. Uh, man. I mean, gets you out of comfort, which is such a prison, can be such a prison, right? To only do things that feel comfortable or feel safe or feel I don't know.
You
Right. I
know,
think protecting
oh,
you
go ahead.
from comfort, it's this huge enemy that we face, all of us in differing ways. But and not that there's anything wrong with feeling cozy and good and comfortable. That's it's not like a crime, but to to stick to that even when you know and can feel that it's making you miserable. I mean, I'm thinking specifically about young people truly like not leaving their apartments. Like that is such a thing. Um, and feeling too anxiety ridden or low motivation to get out and go do something, anything, right? And what a tragedy that is.
What if I told you that I think the and okay, have not read the whole book. Just want to make sure that I say that. We can follow this up. We can both read this book and follow this up, right? But I really people think people's problem in general, just general, is just you're too much online, you're too much on your devices. It's too much. It's
Yeah.
too much. You gotta you and it's not one of this like I'm gonna take a I'm gonna take a break from social media because that's not realistic to main. It's like a crash diet, right? It's like it's not realistic. You got to find the balance
Mhm.
of what you're gonna do and how it's gonna make you feel. And I think we were talking. I don't know if we were recording yet, but I was talking about how it's confirming a lot of the things that like I've already thought and felt,
Mm.
that helped me be this person that we're talking about. But he's just saying it, you know what I mean? And I kind of just like had to figure it out on my own. Like one of the things is like, I'm going to butcher this, but it's like, you shouldn't just be afraid to be whoever you are on social media, like in a nutshell, right? Like you don't need to follow the algorithm or rules or post at a certain time and do all that kind of. I don't do any of that shit. Like I post the things I want to post, like you know what I mean. And like you should do that. You can take control of your social media like that. And that's one of the things he recommends. And I was like, yeah, no brainer, right? But
Okay,
it
and so
took
he
me.
is advocating to engage with social media in some way to put yourself out there in some capacity.
Well, yeah, I mean, to say that we're going back is ridiculous,
Right.
but it just has to be, you know, how are you spending your time with online? I mean,
Mm.
that's it. When you're there, what are you doing? Are you Are you researching, a research paper, and like, are you trying to learn something with ChatGPT, or are you just looking at other people's houses wishing that you had one,
Mm,
whatever. You know what I mean? Or just like scrolling like Tinder or whatever, going like, well, I just
mm,
wish I could meet somebody, you know what I mean?
yeah.
And the crazy part about that is like you could just go out in public and people are everywhere. You know what I'm saying?
They are. They are.
But like just like back to the story about my daughter and how like when she got rejected, I felt more rejected than apparently she felt rejected because she didn't stop her, right? That's a condition that we have learned, that rejection condition. You know what I mean? And we'll just say that like I feel like 80% of the people I meet like my personality. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But like 20% are like, for whatever reason, their life has given them a view of me that is not um uh, uh you know uh positive on me, right? But that's
Sure.
but that's not my
I'm
fault.
already envisioning what that is. No,
Well,
I
but,
get
you,
it.
but
Right? You're positive. You're gregarious. You have a podcast. I think you're an optimist. All things. I want to note it is, Scotty. I think you like your life, and I think that is really difficult for people to look at when they are feeling really down about their own lives.
okay, I'm not saying that this is a cure all, but look, we'll just do a quick survey, okay?
Mhm.
Hannah, how many times in a month do you have someone that you like in your life that you make contact with and you go, let's go get a coffee or get lunch? How often do you do that?
Um, at least once a week.
Okay. So probably about a once a weeker,
Hmm.
but I'm also doing this podcast, so I'm meeting people there, and then I'm also going to the gym, so I'm meeting people there, and then I'm also doing, so like all that interaction
Hmm.
in the real world gives me the positive feedback to live my life out here.
Mm.
And so the just the value of online doesn't have the value of it is this it has to in my life it needs to be a tool. That's it. It can't be more than a tool because once it becomes more than a tool, I feel like it becomes a problem.
Yeah. Oh man, and this is hard too, Scotty, right? Which I know we've talked about um in this season of life that I will soon be exiting because I'm moving to Austin.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, moving back.
I want, yeah, we're gonna do this like we're gonna do this little coffee house one. I don't know how I'm gonna do it yet, but
I
we're
don't
gonna
know
figure
how
it
we're
out.
gonna do this, Scotty. We're gonna fuck it up. It's gonna be great. But yes, right. I have never before related so heavily to the loneliness epidemic, if you want to call it that. I've been so blessed that in this very odd season of life that I have found people in the real world that I go and see. And I'm always wanting to see someone outside the house. And yet, my most important people, including the person I'm dating, doesn't live that we're not in the same physical vicinity, right? All my most important, I don't want to say all of them, but the majority of my most important people I'm interacting with virtually. And I would be so loath to give those connections up or to somehow be like, well, this is contributing to my screen time, which it is. It is contributing to my screen time. I look forward to a time in which I don't feel so reliant on my device to get my social needs met. Um, but it does give me this, it gives me a lot of compassion for people who do feel like they are isolated and therefore this thing is like it's the source of all of their meaning, because to me it kind of feel that way. It is like I am living this very virtual life at the moment. Right, all my clients are virtual. that's hard. And I know that I'm not the only person whose work is virtual. I know so many people who
Oh yeah.
at this point, right? And Scotty, I'm just out of curiosity, how much of your work is
Like
virtual?
probably like 25%.
25% virtual. That's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. And
Okay.
if those people were here, they live in other cities.
Right.
So if they, or when a client goes out of town, they'll
Mhm.
do virtual. Or if like they live far away and somehow they're like, "Oh, I'm stuck at home, or I don't want to get away," then we'll do virtual. But it's always like last resort. It's always first choice is always like in person, because it just, again, it makes a huge difference on the experience that person has.
Mhm.
That you can't, there's no mathematical equation to put on the energy when someone gives you a
Their physical
genuine,
presence.
genuine presence, compliment, or whatever, you
Yeah.
know. Like this, I went to I've been doing stand up. We talked about this like privately, right? But I went to the bar and there was this girl behind the bar and she was like, "Hey, what's your name?" And I told her Scotty, and I met her and she goes, "I like your look." And I was like, thank you. Like, I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, what do you say to something like that? But what a great gift she gave me. And if I don't show up in the world, then that doesn't happen. And if I don't show up as a person that looks like it's open to that, like we've talked about before, my resting dick face, you know what I mean?
The lack of
And
openness to other people, which is so funny. I only see Goofy Scotty.
but that's my biggest problem doing stand up, is that I don't smile when I'm doing stand up. That's my biggest issue in so far in doing stand up, right? So think about it. Something that you pointed out like a long time ago that, like, I mean, I probably knew on some kind of level, right? Is now being directly worked on by something that I've always wanted to do for my entire life, right?
Interesting.
But I mean, but like
More personal.
I had to go get that.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like I had to go get it. Like it wasn't just gonna, like, stand up comedy just wasn't gonna show up at my house and going like, "Hey, we're here to work out," and we're,
Here we
you know what I
are.
mean? And so like I
Oh,
had to,
yes.
and so like, you know, yes, I know that online that they tell you the world is scary and people are crazy and all that stuff. But let me tell you, as someone that's going out in front of people and like telling jokes and interacting with people, I had a dude, I was hosting a show and a guy tried to jump on stage. He was drunk, tried to jump on stage. I wasn't prepared for that.
Wow. Wait, you're actually doing stand up out in the world.
I
Is
was
that
okay.
okay?
I was hosting a show
Hmm.
and a guy like came up. It was like, I have a joke about a real, like, subject, and I was like, "Oh, we're just doing comedians tonight. I appreciate it, thank you." And but like, what I'm saying, like, you don't get to test your skills or just like be a human being out in public, and especially if you show up like everybody's an asshole. I mean, like, how is that to show up? I show up as like everyone wants to meet me because I want to meet them. And if I get the impression they are tired of meeting me, then I just exit stage left. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't take it personal. I'm not for everybody. 20% of the people aren't gonna like. I'm lucky 80% of the people like me. I also, you know, we could talk about my childhood and being bred that way. And we could also talk about me shaping into a super, like understanding fairly or not fairly what people's expectation of me is when they meet me.
Which is, yeah, people just really want you to pay attention to them
Yeah. That,
and be kind to them.
let me tell you, I could give you, okay, I'm going to tell you, this is nothing new and this is not a secret, but nobody is good at it. Okay. Except for you. You're really good at this because it's your job.
To ask questions?
Well, to ask questions, right? And to be a good listener, right? And people will think you are the most magical human being on the planet if you could do that, but you can't shut up like 5 minutes long enough to like let it happen, right? Like, it's when like we have like like today, like I feel like I'm very dominant heavy in this conversation. I can feel it that I've been talking a lot.
Mm.
And so I've been trying to go, okay, how do I shift this back to Hannah, right? Because that's the dance. That's the beauty of a conversation is giving the time for each person. But people don't do that. They're like, no one gives me time, and you are going to give me all your time. And I'm like, ah. But
Do
that's
you
what
think,
Uber's.
well, do you think that that's what's going on, Scotty, or do you think that people are just nervous? Like there's something that makes them feel like they have to take up space, like they have to fill the silence. I don't know. I think there's also this pressure that we have to be interesting, right? That
But you know what's also interesting? Mysterious,
being mysterious.
right? You know what I mean? Like I feel like I've asked this on my like Facebook before, like, tell me tell me what you know about me. You
Mm,
know what I mean? And it's always the same, like, kind of surface level like stuff. You know what I
mm,
mean? So is that A, because I never tell anybody, or is that B, because nobody ever asks? You know what I
mm.
mean? But like I'm cool with it because these are my questions to answer anyway. Like it'd be nice to know. So like I always respect your opinion when I have something. I come to you. You should have those people in your life. But that also requires trust, conversation, communication. Like we have. I mean, I feel like I can confidently say we have built something here, a relationship here, to have these types of conversations, and like we
Yes.
have done it in front of everybody, right?
Well, and it's been the foundation of our friendship relationship has been to go right to the meat of what feels most vulnerable and
But
meaningful.
I don't think that doesn't mean we couldn't go to a concert. I think we could easily go to a concert
I think we
together.
should, Scotty. I think we
Yeah,
should.
yeah, and not talk like just we might talk about other stuff. You never know. But you know what I'm saying? But like that required like effort on both of our parts, patience on both of our parts. Like you have to relationships of any sort require like a nurturing and a turning of the soil and other kind of things about growth and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yes. Well, and I have this question. I think I've asked it to you before, Scotty, but what are we missing? Like what to you is there, I mean, and maybe relationships is not something that you struggle with. But
Oh, I would say I'm gonna say I wouldn't struggle.
well, and certainly your most intimate relationships, I think, are the ones that we struggle with the most, bar
Sure,
none, right?
sure.
Like family partner, hardest ones because
Yes,
they matter so much to you. And they're also, you can't really put up a front around those people because they know you. You see their every move pretty much. They see your every move. You can't curate an image for the people in your life that really see you.
right.
There's no hiding. And I think that is often what so many of us are terrified to enter into is like, I'm going to be in this space and I'm not going to be able to control how I'm seen. I'm not going to be able to, yeah, I'm not going to be able to come off exactly as I want. Because at a certain point, you can't just put up a front 24/7. Like people are going to realize that you're boring. They're going to realize that you're grumpy. They're going to realize that you don't always have like the witty, perfect thing to say. And and yeah, I wonder if that's where people decide that they're going to withdraw. But I don't know.
I feel like you I feel like you have to show up in the world with intention of of how you want to maximize the human experience that you're having.
Mm.
Okay. And so like when you show up to meet a friend and at any point in the lunch, one of y'all has y'all's phone out, you
That's
just
just
cut
brutal.
You just fucked it up. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Now
Also feels so basic.
it happens all the time to me, but I'm never like the anti-fun phone police. I'm never like, man, will you put your phone away? But I always put mine away. And so when I go to these lunches, and like, my lunches vary from like back to like connection, right? From like people that like maybe I had on the podcast like the first season and just somehow like I kept a number. I was like, hey man, you want to go to lunch? Like I don't even know you really, you know what I mean? And just hearing about their life or whatever that is, or that connection, right? Or it could be one of my friends, or it could be a business lunch, or anything, right? And I'm not saying it all has to be lunch or coffee or whatever, but I'm like, I intentionally make those appointments, and then when I show up for those appointments, I show up without my phone,
Right.
and maybe that part is what gives me like hope in humanity, or not. So I feel like I'm really harping on social media, the phone today, but I also have been feeling like this for like a couple of weeks now, and now I'm starting this book, and I'm kind of like, oh well, this is not just like it's not just my gut that I was already kind of leaning into. Like, this is real. Like, when I work with my athletes, the young kids,
Mm.
their phone is like the biggest problem, because it's impacting their sleep, it's impacting their social life, it's
Yeah.
impacting, baseball or whatever sport they're playing. It's impacting everything. You know what I mean?
Mm.
But like, this is your responsibility. You are in control of that. No one else, just like your life, no one else is in control of that. And if you have to find, like, if you're gonna do heroin, I mean, you got to decide how much you're gonna do, I guess. Do you know what I'm saying? But like,
Yeah.
we don't look at it with that responsibility.
Mhm.
And I promise, if you make the effort to do, like, okay, I'm just saying, say you and your girlfriends go to a concert,
Yep.
okay? And let's say that y'all decide to film parts of it, take pictures together. I don't know, whatever y'all do with y'all's phones, okay? Mr. Right could have just like walked like right in front of you, and then you could be found, on phone, and then it's like, oh, we can never find the right guy, like, and he might have been looking at you like on your phone, going like, oh, those girls are always on their phone. You know
Yes.
what I mean? You know what I mean? And like,
Yes. I do so. I'm like, oh.
that requires you being present when you have the opportunity. So let's call it that. Like,
Yeah, I
okay,
know. Well,
there,
but this is interesting too, right? Um, and I don't know if you and I have talked about this, Scotty, but there are times in which I I just went to New York, spent time with friends, spent time with my boyfriend. And we're calling that now, whatevs. Soft launch. Um, and I didn't take picture. I have some pictures, which is great. Actually, I do have a few pictures, but I don't want to be on my phone. I don't want to be taking pictures of it. I just want to be there. And but then there's this sense of like, oh, I'm missing out on this fundamental part of people my age, which is that they display what's going on. They like take pictures and they show it.
you ain't missing out on shit.
I know, but it's interesting, right?
Think of any social movement online that you've ever been a part of, and then tell me where it is now.
Talking
Like
about
that,
like
like
posting the black square.
Black Square is my favorite example, and I'm not trying to be an a-hole about it. I'm
Uh,
just saying, at that moment, everybody thought that they were doing this magnanimous like thing,
Yeah.
but I don't think it moved the needle at all. I don't really know what it did. I don't know. I don't have any
Well,
more
and then,
black
yeah,
friends.
the immediate blowback was just saying like, hey, you're actually blocking people from finding the resources they need because when people are going to like look up information, they're just seeing a bunch of black squares, and that's actually like getting in the way of people maybe actually getting the support out in the real
I
world.
mean, so it's like, so, and when you die, I'm hoping that the achievements that you had, the things that you're proud of, your purpose and meaning was all in this world.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Because like that's what
I could know
matters.
there's an exception to that when my friends post about their short film that they need funding for, then And
No.
that's like the way that I find out about it. The other thing was when there's a horrible hurricane in Texas, or there's a huge flood, and then someone posted a link and I donated.
Yes, those things are great, right? But while you're there, you can't stop on, like you can't take a break on like what, cakes or whatever you're into. I don't know, like like you're like looking up like sports or whatever
No, it's
like
quite literally, and I notice in myself all the time, Scotty. I'm sure you do as well, right? It's like we're just creatures, so we see this bright shiny thing, and sometimes we'll just be like flipping back and forth on the screen, not even like remembering why we turned to it in the first place. I don't know if you've
I
ever.
and I so I try to be intentional with my phone. I try to be aware when I start to doom scroll. I try to doom scroll smartly, meaning that like we'll say that like I'm gonna go with the client session. I have everything ready. I'm like ready to go. It's like 5 minutes before. And I'm like, well, I could scroll for like 5 minutes.
Yeah,
So I'm just gonna scroll for 5 minutes. I'll go to this app. Everything cool. Anybody, anything I need to answer? Anybody asking me questions or whatever else it is? Anybody like anything? And that's it. You know what I mean? Like that's about all I do. I mean, I post every single day, but it's like at I don't know 7:30, 8 a.m. after I like get up, I get going. I have like my routine of posting the things that I want to post for the podcast and how I want to advertise and use this platform. And then I don't look back at it until like I have my first break, which is like 4 clients, 5 clients later, right? I might check and see, oh, is somebody running late, blah, 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 whatever. But I don't have time to be on my phone doing stuff I'm with people. They are literally paying for my time,
yeah,
my expertise, my time, my energy, how I show up. If I show up, I'm like, well, I guess you could do 3 more lunges. That'd be fine. You know, like, or am I showing up like, hey, 3 more? Let's do this. Really get in a good position. Really knock this out. Like that's what they're paying for. You know
right.
what I mean? That's why I still have this job.
Yes, of course, right? It's your unadulterated attention, and that's my job too, which is, and I know we've got to go here, especially I have a client. Um, and because Arthur Brooks says this, right? That you need meaning in your life, and he says it can't just be your job. Now, this is tricky because your and my jobs, it's not the exact same thing, but we are being paid for, would you agree, our presence more than our expertise? We've got expertise, and that's valuable, but at least in my job, actually, I shouldn't say that about your job because you actually like fitness, like there are things you can really hurt yourself, things that can go wrong. People are coming to you for your skill set. And because we're in this one-on-one service provider kind of job, yeah, the presence and the attention that we bring to the people we work with is our entire profession, one might argue.
I just thought of this today. Okay. Can you imagine you're going to your therapist, so you go to your therapist's office and you sit down and your therapist goes, "How are you doing today?" You know what I mean? Like your therapist is a robot,
Yeah.
right? Are you going to feel like this intense connection to share what is really bothering you inside, the deep questions you want answered to make your life better with a robot?
No.
Probably not. I mean, you
Most people
could.
do. They
You
do.
could.
They use ChatGPT all the time.
That's true. But the real thing is always going to be better,
Mm.
right? And it's the reason it's the reason in like I don't know how long it'll take before everyone trusts a robot to cut their hair, but I feel like it's a long time from now. Do you understand what I'm saying? To
Yes.
convert the whole society and trusting robots to cut your hair. We're
Yes.
gonna want and we know humans mess up. We know that this person can mess it up and the robot is perfect and we'll still go, I want Cindy to cut my hair, right? It's
Yes.
because it's more than a haircut. It's the reason you have a
Always.
hairdresser for like 15 years. It's the
Always.
reason
Well,
it's
especially in the service, right? Especially as a service provider.
so
But then it's
yes,
it's sometimes I wonder if I'm getting off, I let myself off easy when I say like, well, I don't need to be more helpful in the world because my job is to help people. And I know there's more to life than just that because I am getting paid. At the end of the day, I am getting paid for it. It is, right, it is my job. And so, which it's
Where
difficult. I get so much meaning out of it, but I don't know whether this is pointing at something deeper about life or if this is maybe just a pressure that we put on ourselves to do the most possible. But I mean, what do you think about that? It's like we do still need, even if our jobs are meaningful to us, we need something other than our jobs
e-
to make us feel like we're contributing meaningfully.
even though my job, a big part of this is like being present with clients and all that kind of stuff, and I get paid to do that. When I do that outside of here, I get to choose where and when and how I do it.
Yeah.
And I understand that that connection gives me an opportunity to connect with somebody else. And per your advice, I think I was talking about one time that like, every time I get with you, I'm the one that does all the talking, but when I'm with somebody else, they do all the talking. And you were like, sometimes you just gotta interject stuff that you're proud of and that you want to talk about. And so I do. Not like big time, like they'll be at a pause and I'll be like, oh well, my podcast was killer this week. I really enjoyed this. And maybe that's all it is. But I'm just like, I don't need to totally contribute to the conversation, but I do want an interaction, and maybe that does spawn them to ask me a question, and then I get to answer it, right? And like that is my responsibility to be a good dance partner, and that requires on. Does that make sense?
Of course it makes sense.
But that doesn't happen online. It doesn't happen with online interactions. Even us on Zoom, there's no energy in the sense of like, oh, Hannah's in the room, her energy, her vibe that I feel, like, you know what I mean? Like when you feel somebody gets happy or feel somebody gets pissed off, and you can see it, but sometimes you could feel it before you see it. You know what I mean? And then you can stop
Yes.
stepping on things. So like it's just, I really encourage like to go out and like live your life. I think that will help out a lot.
It
And
will.
hey,
I mean, but easier said than done. Ooh, and
look,
this
it's scary
yeah.
and it sucks, but it's never not been scary, and it's never pretty much not suck. It's just a new way of being scary and suck. It's just a
Yeah.
new generation of scary and suck. But
Oh,
trust
and
me,
having to suck at things in public, like me
but you'll
playing
be you'll
pickleball.
be
That's
you'll
a
be
whole other story.
fine. If you have something that's mixtape therapy for you, make sure you let us know. We're gonna come back to this subject, right, Hannah?
We will. We're gonna figure it out this time for real,
We're
guys.
gonna get the meaning
We're
of
gonna figure
life.
out the meaning of life. It's gonna happen.
We'll see you guys next time. Bye.